What's up, Jet Nation? Green Bean back with you for my thoughts on training camp, part 2, when we return. So hey, Jet Nation, like I said, I am Green Bean. I am back to talk to you about the most recent updates in the Jets training camp. I'm coming to you from a jungle, it seems. I am in the state of Oregon, deep in the woods, having a good time. But as you can see, it's actually cold. I'm so high in elevation, and it's the morning that it's actually cold. So here I am in a sweatshirt. I'm all bundled up. Isn't that nice for August? But anywho, so we have had some changes and some exciting things and more negative things go on this past week in training camp. Let's start with what I'm getting the most heat for, and delightfully so, is Lawrence Cager. So last time I made mention that Connor Hughes stated that Lawrence Cager looks like he has hands of stone, and we were not seeing much from him up till that point. No sooner than that video went out did Lawrence Cager have a 3-touchdown day. A couple of those catches were acrobatic, so he was looking really, really good. And believe me when I tell you, not only on YouTube did I get bombarded, but also on JetNation. Everybody took great joy in poking fun at me for talking about Lawrence Cager. But, and that was exciting. Hey, man, like I said, I'm rooting for Lawrence Cager just like you are. Believe me when I tell you, to have a Plaxico Burress-esque 6'5" guy running around in the end zone for Sam Darnold, who couldn't want that? And I'm a Jets fan, so that's what I want as well. But here's the bad news. Now, we were all excited about Lawrence Cager's, resurgence, if you will. Now, the knock on Lawrence Cager has been his ability to stay healthy. He was hurt pretty much his entire college career, which is why his catches, his production was so low. And Lawrence Cager did, in fact, hurt his knee. And that was a few days, he's already been out a few days, so we don't know what's going to happen there, but it's not a good sign, guys. And look, again, let's all root for Lawrence Cager. Let's send him positive vibes. But I wouldn't get too excited about him because, again, this is a guy that has all the talent in the world and seemingly cannot stay healthy. And, again, he is hurt. So let's all send him some love and some positivity that Lawrence Cager can put this injury past of his behind him and move forward. So that's a big thing. Now another bad one is that Greg Van Roaten was doing well, and so well, in fact, that Quentin Williams actually didn't do too well in the scrimmage. So guys like McGovern and Van Roaten and that group, they were doing a good job of handling the defensive line, which is a good sign. But he has an oblique injury. Now, I don't really know exactly how serious or anything like that, but it's not good, man. This is not the stuff that we want to see. Last year, as we know, we had the most injured reserve players in the league. I did see something that said it was the most injured reserve players in one season in NFL history. So last year was crazy, and this is already starting to look like we might be traveling down the same path. Let's hope not. But Greg Van Roaten, one of our free agent signed offensive linemen, is hurt with an oblique injury. Some good news. Both Denzel Mims and Pierre were seen running around the practice field. Now, that's a good sign, okay? They both have hamstring injuries. So I think forgive me if I have Desir's wrong, but they're both injured. They've both been out for predominantly the entire training camp thus far. So they're running around the field, which is a very, very good sign. Take it slow, just like they did with Marcus May last year. I'm in no rush. Let's get Denzel Mims back healthy as opposed to getting him back in a rush, So that's some good news. What else do we have? Ooh, another one that people are hitting me up on. James Morgan. We had a James Morgan sighting. He threw a couple touchdown passes, and everybody's talking about James Morgan. Hey, again, I'm rooting for every single person that we ever draft, sign, whatever. I want them all to be Hall of Fame. You know, that's what I'm rooting for. That's what I'm honestly hoping, that every player we ever have goes to the Hall of Fame. That's how great they are. I just don't see it with James Morgan coming from the USA Conference and a mediocre quarterback at best. Over there, the Jets like him, so we'll go with that. Joe Douglas bypassed grabbing another wide receiver or potentially offensive lineman or some edge help that was sitting there on the board, and he took James Morgan. And James Morgan had a good day or two of practice, which is a good sign. So, Brian Poole. What is this with Brian Poole? Now, Rich Cimini actually came out and said that there's an illness that's associated with this dehydration thing that's making it so Brian Poole's return from dehydration is actually not as quick as most people would be, and you know, most people would handle this dehydration thing. So there's something else that was aggravated by the dehydration, and again, they're just taking it slow. Brian Poole is fully expected to play and come back soon, but they're just taking it slow with him, which is a good thing. We also had Blesson Austin, the guy from last year, who we talked about learning a lesson or two via Greg Williams and his tactic. He just sat him down when he wasn't paying attention to the details, and he got burned for a touchdown, and that was the end of his season, essentially. So Greg Williams and his tactics of letting players know, I don't really care who you are or what you're doing. If you're not going to listen, you're not going to do what we want you to do for the team, you're going to sit. And Blesson Austin came out and said as much. He said that was one of the most important lessons of his life. That's that. Cameron Clark. Mr. Clark has made it back onto the practice field, which is a very, very good sign, especially with Van Roaten getting hurt. We need our offensive linemen playing, man. We need them practicing. We need them together as a unit. From what I understand, Josh Andrews, the other free agent that we signed as a reserve, did come in and play. And he played well, so that's another good sign. Josh Andrews was one of the guys that Joe Douglas actually prioritized, if you can believe that, but not as a starter, just as depth. He knows what the guy is, he knows that he's solid, and he brought him in, so he got to play, and he did well as well. Now, the sad part about all this is that the offense didn't look so good in the scrimmage. They didn't look really sharp, they looked sloppy. But guys, this is the thing that happens every single year. Now, this training camp is weird because it's compressed, and we don't have preseason games, so there's a lot riding on it, and I do understand that. But the defense always looks good first. So while I'd love to see the offense shredding them and all that sort of stuff, it takes longer for the offense to get going than the defense, and that is what's happening. So that said, though, what is this baloney? Now, with Gase pulling Le'Veon Bell, for those who don't know what happened, they had a scrimmage. They had about 8 offensive series. Le'Veon Bell started the first 2 series and then was pulled out and benched for the likes of Frank Gore and LaMichael Pirine. And he wasn't, he wasn't happy about it. So here's 2 things I'll say about it. Number one, nobody's complaining like this when it's Bill Parcells, Bill Belichick, and I do understand that Gase is not those guys, okay? I get it. But at the same time, it's like these dramatic players. Now, Le'Veon Bell has been a consummate team player, and I've loved how he's handled himself since he's arrived. I think he's working hard. I think all those things. I love him. But, dude, the coach should be able to pull people and do all that without people crying. He said he wanted to take him out as a precautionary measure, and Le'Veon Bell made a big deal about his hamstrings being okay and that he needs to practice and all caps and all that kind of stuff. So my thought on this is, one, why isn't Gase just playing his running back? It's an indicator that he might be leaning toward pulling the same stuff that he pulled last year with Bell, and that was misusing him, not using him enough, all those types of things surrounding Le'Veon Bell and his offensive usage last year. It wasn't okay, and it looks like, it just starts to look like it might be a big batch of the same stuff. That said, it's the first scrimmage, man. He wants to see Pierre, he wants to see Gore, he wants to do all these types of things. Probably ran some other personnel packages and all that sort of stuff. And Le'Veon Bell just needs to suck it up, man, and not complain about everything. You know, it's the first scrimmage, so I don't know. But either way that you slice it, isn't it just crap? The Jets can't even do one thing without drama coming out of it, and I hate it. Quite frankly, I'm just so tired of reading it now. The interesting thing is, I think it was Sports Illustrated, I could be wrong on that, maybe it was ESPN, when they wrote down the article about it, one of the lines that they put in their article was, and I bet the New York media won't blow this up, or won't blow this out of proportion. And that's what they're doing. So that's the other side of it. You know, look, Manish Mehta is no longer in the picture, at least as far as having access to the team. But it's still the same type of stuff. Anybody that writes for the Daily News, don't forget, Cimini wrote for the Daily News, and we all hated him in the same way. When Manish was at the Star-Ledger and came over, most people thought it was going to be a good thing because the Star-Ledger doesn't make their writers do that. So it's just a Daily News type of thing. And no matter who fills in, this guy Charlie, the #1 LeBron fan or something like that, he's going to come in and do the same stuff. But anywho, it was said that the New York media is going to blow it out of proportion, and that's what's going on. But it's not. It's just not good, no matter how you look at it. So that's enough on that. Now, Jabari Zuniga is still out. Don't know what's going on with him. If we're going to have any type of pass rush this year, we're hoping that the guys that we brought in addition to our guys last year, are going to actually be able to contribute, because last year we did not have all that much of a pass rush. We had to get creative schematically and manufacture pressure. That's how we say it. We manufacture pressure instead of just having the talent you have up front being able to create it themselves. So let's see if Quinnen Williams, who did not have a good scrimmage from what I understand, I don't know how they were using him or anything like that, but he even had some time against the backups, the reserves, Josh Andrews and Harrison and the like, and he wasn't able to do too much on the inside. So we need Jabari Zuniga to be able to play, and we also had a Bryce Huff signing. For those that don't know, Bryce Huff is the guy who we brought in as an undrafted free agent out of Memphis, and who has quite the burst, I might add. So he has a lot of potential, even though he did make it to the undrafted free agent section of the draft. He's actually got some potential, and there were some clips of Jordan Jenkins actually taking personal time and showing him some techniques and all that kind of stuff. So hey, that's a good sign. He's working. We haven't heard much about him, but let's hope that he can actually get going. Chris Hogan looking good. It's really scary that this is probably going to be our #1 wideout, or at least in the starting lineup. That's not what we'd hoped this year, but let's just give him some time. Perryman is still out with his knee issue, which is concerning, more concerning than people are making it out to be, in my opinion, because that's one of the issues with Perryman, is his injury history. So let's hope that he's well as well. Guys, don't forget to go to JetNation.com. We're yucking it up in there. Like and subscribe to videos. We're gonna have more stuff coming. Right after I put this video down, I'm gonna get into the rest of my conspiracy video. There's some whispers floating around the Jets organization, so stick around for that. Keep your eyes open for that, I should say. But anywho, let's just see how the rest of this week goes, and hopefully we'll start seeing some players fold back in and some positivity on the offense. That said, have a great day, and go Jets.